Mythology's time is cyclical, it's never ending, it's a continuous cycle of birth and destruction and decay and again birth, rebirth. There's a lot that we don't know.
Yes.
Even as a practicing Hindu, you do not know.
Correct.
Even 10% of what your religion is about.
I think it will be great for our viewers to get the basics.
There's a very big misconception amongst people that, people of science don't really believe in God or don't, have faith rather, and faith and science are considered two opposites. And I think that comes primarily from the Western concept of science and faith, where you do see a conflict, and you've seen it historically. Since the time the heliocentric model was proposed, first by Galileo, and then, it was kind of proved by Copernicus. And it's a historical truth that they were summoned and their theories were questioned. They had an inquisition, and Copernicus was asked not to publish or not to talk about his work. So I think there is this inherent misbelief between the two systems, I would say, that comes from the Western upbringing that we get. But in the Indian context, I don't think I've ever felt, out of place in either of those two streams, having faith as my foundation while studying medicine or vice versa, while delving into what are termed the religious scriptures and finding science in them. I think that was where my fascination began with this subject. And this journey actually started in 2011 when I started a blog called Decode Hindu Mythology. Now, mythology is a very loaded word, so we'll get into a discussion on that later. But back then, that's all I knew. And I figured that, there are things that I was going through while reading scriptures that made a lot of logic to me, a lot of sense. And a lot of scientific principles I could find hidden in them, embedded in them, in the stories. And I could sort of understand that these stories were elaborated or they were embellished to pass on something more meaningful, right? It's not just about how someone behaved with someone else or, what he did or she did to him or her. But it's also about passing a message. So while growing up, you're always told these moral lessons from the stories, but there's more to it. There's historical lessons. There's, about, the culture. You get to know so much about what were the beliefs of the people, what were the scientific beliefs of the people. So kind of all of that amalgamated in that blog. And, I think that's the path I'm still following, that why go to an extreme if you can find a middle path.
Right,
between the two.
Middle path is something which is very, very, helping people to understand what it is, and it will help people for building their behavior and character. Thank you very much for that quick start. So when I started looking at, understanding Sanatana Dharma, I saw many profiles, and one of them was you, who actually tells things very, very beautifully. And when I saw the details in Vedic scriptures or in Itihasas, I think it was mind-blowing to me. I was like, wow, when can I meet this person? So thank you for coming to us. So coming to the time part of it, and science is something which we love, everybody loves. So coming to mixture of that science, now we understand that we are in Kali Yuga, which is Yugas, and a lot of times we hear that Kali Yuga is bad or something. So first of all, if you can tell us what are the 4 yugas, how are we divided?
Right.
And if you can get the construct behind it, I think it will be great for our viewers to get the basics. So I know you would have done it earlier, but our viewers are very special. They would love to know more science about it. So if you can just help us.
Definitely, Pavanji, and thank you for your kind words. I think for me also, that was one of the most fascinating things that I read while going through scriptures, that they talk about not just hundreds of years or thousands of years, and there's calculations that go into millions and billions.
Yeah.
The very fact that they had calculations going up to, so many zeros, that shows, one, that they were very good at mathematics.
Perfect.
Secondly, they had some means to know more about the world than we know today.
Right.
Because our current stories, the scientific theories, I would say, not stories, but the theories, scientific theories that we have, in the end, they're all stories, right? Because we can't prove half of what we believe, even in science. So, but these theories are built on observations from, advanced telescopes, Hubble's space telescope, etc. And scientists are doing investigations day in, day out, and then they're arriving at something which is very similar to what the rishis had written down in the scriptures thousands of years ago. So, I mean, it boggles my mind, how they did it. But coming to this specific question about the yugas, so there's a cyclical, time is cyclical, first of all, in Hinduism. In Western religions, it's more of a linear progression of time. Whereas in the Eastern religions, the Eastern mythologies, time is cyclical. It's never ending. It's a continuous cycle of birth and destruction and decay, and again birth, rebirth. So whether it's an individual or whether it's a universe, there's a cycle which is followed. So for a universe, I think I would approach it from the opposite end.
Okay.
Rather than starting from a yuga, I would approach it from the macro perspective and then go deeper. So for a universe, first of all, there are multiple universes, mentioned in our scriptures. There's a multiverse happening.
I'll reserve my questions on
that.
Right.
Sure. So for the time period, for each universe is the life of the universe's Brahma.
Okay.
So Brahma is the creator. We all know he's the creator God, right? So the moment Brahma is born, the time of the universe begins. And as soon as Brahma, finishes his life, you can't say it dies because it's not in
it's not a human
mortal
being
sense of the word.
Correct.
But Brahma has a lifespan of 100 years, which is 100 Brahma years.
Brahma years, okay.
Right. So the moment that lifespan is over, the universe dissolves.
Okay.
So Brahma's 100 years are actually divided into 360 days and nights. Every year has 360 days and nights.
Right.
Now each of this, it's very similar to how we human have calculations, right? So we have a 365 years, days in a year. Brahmaji has 360 days in a year, and it's standard, right? Every year is 360 days. Each of these years is called a kalpa.
Kalpa, okay.
And each kalpa, like our day, is divided into 14 manvantars.
Okay.
Like our day is divided into 12 hours.
Right.
So I'm not talking about the night right now, because in Brahma's night, it's dissolution again. Nothing exists. So we're talking only about the daytime, and in the day, it has a day has 14 manvantars. Now, just as our hours have seconds, the manvantars also have a subdivision, and each manvantar has 71 mahayugas.
Wow.
And each mahayuga has a cycle of 4 yugas.
Wow.
So that is the, from going from the macro to the micro, and currently we are in the Kali Yuga.
Okay.
And again, because each manvantar has 71 mahayugas.
Right.
So it's very important to understand where we are currently.
Which one we are.
Which one we are in right now, and which year of Brahma is actually going on right now. So our scriptures are beautifully descriptive in the sense that, they tell us exactly where we are.
Beautiful.
And multiple Purans mention that half of Brahma's life is already over.
Okay.
So 50 years have already gone.
Okay.
And this is the first day of his 51st year.
Okay.
So he's officially hit midlife today. And we are in the afternoon of this day.
Okay.
So out of the 14 manvantars, we are currently in the 7th manvantar.
Okay.
And because each manvantar has 71 mahayugas, we have finished 27 of those, and we are currently in the 28th mahayuga cycle.
Okay.
And in the Kali Yuga.
Excellent.
So that's where we are. So about 155 trillion human years have gone by for this universe.
And this all is there in scriptures.
This is all there in the scriptures. It's all, the entire calculation is given.
My goodness.